What if Churchill died early? Winston Churchill is known for many things, whether it is the Battle of Gallipoli, Bengal famine, Anglo-Irish Treaty or Reformation of the Middle East. But he is mostly known for being Prime Minister of the United Kingdom during the Second World War. His commitment not to surrender would decide the fate of the war. But what if that didn't happen? What if Churchill died early? In this timeline during Sir Winston Churchill's visit to the Middle East, a Palestinian nationalist assassinates him as he wanted to make a compromise between Arabs and Zionists. The Palestinian nationalist would send to prison, and like Churchill would be forgotten by history. The 1920s and 30s are like in our own timeline, but the change takes place in 1940. When Neville Chamberlain stepped down after his defeat in Norway, Edward Wood, 1st Earl of Halifax, becomes Prime Minister instead of Winston Churchill, who is dead for 19 years by now. Unlike Churchill, Halifax sues for peace after France fell. And so the Geneva Accords are signed on September 1, 1940. The United Kingdom has to abandon Poland, Denmark, Norway, Luxembourg, Belgium, the Netherlands and France, but makes no territorial losses. Germany annexes French Cameroon, Gabon, Congo, Ubangi, Shari, Dahomey and Madagascar and Belgian Congo. Italy annexes Tunisia, Algeria, Morocco and Djibouti and establishes a puppet regime in Syria under Salah al-Din al-Baitar. French Indochina and the Dutch East Indies were given to the neutral Japanese Empire. Free France only controls New Caledonia, Cayenne and French Africa, while the Dutch only control Suriname. Vichy France is given northern France, but the closed zone goes to Rijkscommissariat Belgium and northern France, while Italy annexes all lands east of the Rhone River. The war was a total victory for Germany, and their control of mainland Europe is secured. In the spring of 1941, Germany launches Operation Barbarossa, but this time both earlier and without having to fight the United Kingdom. As if that wasn't bad enough for the Soviet Union, the amount of lead-lease is far smaller, as neither the United Kingdom nor United States fight in the same war. Japan meanwhile doesn't invade British and American colonies in Southeast Asia, as they both hold French and Dutch colonies and aren't sanctioned by the West. Instead they invade the USSR. After a few days they capture Primorje and besiege Vladivostok. A few days later the Soviets withdraw from Outer Manchuria, Kamchatka, North Sakhalin and the port cities of Madagin and Agen, meaning that the Americans can't even aid them. In the West, Germany pushes the Soviets back and in September wins the Battle of Moscow. They then set up winter camps. During the winter of 1941 and 1942, Germany creates Reichskommissariat Moskowien under Siegfried Kast. In the winter the Soviets pushed Japan to the Amur and out of Agen. In 1942 Germany launches Case Blue. They push the Soviets to the Caspian Sea near Lagan. The Soviet forces in the south crumble. In Tbilisi, Reichskommissariat Caucasian under Arno Schikanedins is created. Both Germany and Japan launch an offensive in the summer in which the Soviets are pushed to the Volga and Lena River. In Kazan the army under Georgy Zhukov overthrows Stalin. They realize they can't win and have to make peace, or else they collapse. Their plan is to wait until the inevitable war between Germany and the United States, and then retake the West. And so a peace treaty is signed with Japan in Irkutsk, and with Germany in Stalingrad. Japan annexes North Sakhalin and Manchukuo annexes Outer Manchuria. The rest of their holdings east of the Lena River becomes the Far Eastern Republic under Konstantin Radzievsky. Germany and the Soviet Union agree for their border to be the Ila line. In Zanibek, a town with a population of 7,460, Alfred Rosenberg makes himself Reichskommissar of Turkestan. Its armed forces only consists of the Turkestan Legion. The Soviets also had to abandon their puppets in East Asia. Mongolia and Tanatuva are absorbed into Mengjiang, and Xinjiang becomes the Ottoman Sultanate under Abdülmecid II. With these allies they push China out of the north, with Tibet taking Qinghai. Following the anti-Comintern War, Germany is in control of almost all of Europe. Spain, Portugal, Yugoslavia, Bulgaria, Turkey, Iraq, Iran and maybe Greece have all joined the Axis powers. Germany and Italy invaded Switzerland, with Italy taking Ticino and Germany the rest. Meanwhile, Japan finally defeated China in 1945, with the country being absorbed into the reorganized national government of the Republic of China under Chen Gongbo. A Cold War starts to emerge between the fascist Axis powers led by Germany, Pan-Asianist Greater East Asian Co-Prosperity Sphere led by Japan, Democratic United Nations led by the United States, and Communist Comintern under the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union would face a time of decline. They lost all of their big cities and industry. Trade is only with the Axis and GDP possible, who sanction them. Central Asia, making up a third of their population, is in chaos, and Zhukov is getting unpopular, and so the Soviet triumvirate under Beria, Malenkov and Molotov overthrown Zhukov in 1953. This would, however, backfire. Zhukov and his supporters moved to Omsk as the Troikas hold no power east of the Urals. Siberia declares its independence and elects Alexander Kerensky as its first president. Meanwhile, Central Asia collapses into anarchy. The Communist Kazakh SSR in western Kazakhstan, Democratic Alash Republic in central Kazakhstan, Stratocratic Almaty State in eastern Kazakhstan and Kyrgyzstan, Absolutist Emirate of Bukhara in Uzbekistan, Fascist Turkestan Empire in Turkmenistan, Communist Tajik SSR in Tajikistan, and Democratic Republic of Karakalpakstan in Karakalpakstan and Mangistau all break free. Germany invades European Russia and pushes the Soviets to the Urals. The Troikas and Kazakh SSR collapse. Then Japan invades Siberia until they reach the Yenisei River. Siberia collapses and falls to Omsk under Zhukov. Alash conquered all of Kazakhstan and Kyrgyzstan, while the rest is under the Emirate of Bukhara. A war between these two breaks out, but nobody can defeat the other, and so they agree to unite under a constitutional monarchy called the Khanate of Turkestan. The Soviet Union collapses into warlordism, and Turkestan conquers Altai. The Committee for the Liberation of the Peoples of Russia under Andrei Vlasov takes over. Zlatist is a theocracy under Patriarch Alexei I. Surgut is a communist stratocracy run by the Navy under the leadership of Sergei Gorshkov. Sverdlovsk becomes the Russian Empire under Vladimir III. The Provisional Government of Siberia in Nizhnevartovsk is a stratocratic regime under Gregory Semyonov that is friendly to Japan. Tomsk is the Second Russian Republic under Alexander Kerensky. Novosibirsk is a fascist pro-Japan regime under Mikhail Matkovsky. Kemerovo is ruled by the Soviet triumvirate, and Omsk is an expansionist Eurasianist despotic regime under Lev Gumilyov. The Soviet Union is restricted to Tumen. In 1949, Mussolini died and Chiano became Duce of Italy. In 1950, Germany annexes Bohemia and Moravia, and the general government. In 1955, Hitler dies and Heinrich Himmler succeeds him as Führer of the Greater German Reich. He incorporates the Netherlands and Belgium and northern France into Germany and transforms Denmark into a Reichskommissariat under Leonard Koppes. By 1960, Siberia is divided into the Soviet Union in the west and Second Russian Republic in the east. Germany then invaded both of them and establishes Reichskommissariat Siberian led by Reinhard Heydrich. Slavs are then deported to Siberia, where they aren't killed but are still slaves. They then invade Turkestan, which is absorbed into Reichskommissariat Turkestan. But the Turkic people are treated nicer than the Russians. Without the United Kingdom being devastated by war, its colonies gain independence later. In 1957, following difficulties to rule India, UK gives independence to India and Pakistan. India would seek an alliance with the Japanese, while Pakistan tries to ally itself to Germany. The Indo-Pak War breaks out over Kashmir, and Afghanistan also joins the war. India annexes Bengal, Kashmir and Pakistan east of the Indus, while Afghanistan annexes Pakistan west of the Indus, not including Kashmir. They then joins the Greater East Asian Co-Prosperity Sphere. Japan invaded Burma and established a puppet regime under Ba Ma. They also invade Malaysia and puppet the nation, with North Borneo going to Indonesia. With Jews being deported to Madagascar and not moving to Palestine, the country is united under an Arab state. Jordan and Iraq formed the Arab League, but then the monarchy in Iraq was overthrown, and the Axis invade the country. Syria annexes Jordan and Persia annexes Iraq. Palestine would peacefully unite with Syria to reunite Greater Syria. The Arab League, consisting of Egypt, Sudan, Saudi Arabia and Yemen, is friendly towards the Axis on paper, but many members want to liberate the Arabs under Italian rule. In the 1960s, Free France experienced an independence war by natives. but the US helped them put down the rebellion. In 1967, an Italian merchant ship was sunk in the Red Sea, and Italy used the opportunity to declare war on the Arab League. They pushed quickly into Saudi Arabia, and the monarchy collapsed. After vicious fighting, Egypt falls. Sudan falls soon later. Southern Sudan declared independence only for Italy to invade them. Italy annexed the Suez, while Syria got the Sinai Peninsula. Italy puppeted the Kingdom of Egypt in Egypt and Sudan under Fuad II, and the Imamate of Arabia in Yemen, Oman and Saudi Arabia under Muhammad al-Badr. When in 1973 the Greek monarchy was overthrown, Italy invaded. They puppeted most of Greece under Constantine II, while Bulgaria takes Macedonia and Turkey its Aegean islands. When the Pahlavi dynasty was overthrown, the Axis invaded Iraq. Iraq is an Italian puppet under Saddam Hussein, and the Pahlavis are restored, but the country is puppeted by Germany. In 1972 Himmler dies and Otto Ernst Römer becomes Führer. He brings Ostlandy and Denmark into the Reich, and invades Sweden in 1975, which causes a war against the West. Japan declared war on both, starting the Third World War. They quickly take New Guinea from Australia. Germany and Italy invade British colonies or former British colonies still under their protection after Japanese aggression against Malaysia and Burma. The British are pushed out of the Gulf states, and with the fall of Gibraltar, Cyprus and Malta are cut off. An invasion by Reichskommissariat Congo, Italian East Africa and Portuguese Mozambique pushed the British out of East Africa. They withdraw south of the Zambezi River and push into Mozambique. Free French forces capture Reichskommissariat Togoland. Because of rough terrain, the war in Central Asia is a stalemate. Germany pushed southeast of the Niger River, and Free France collapses because Germany funded African rebellions. The West African Campaign ends soon later. Both Japan and Germany surprised the Allies by a six-full landing in UK and Australia, with both falling, followed by New Zealand. The war being frozen ends soon later. Germany annexes Tanganyika, Uganda, southern Kenya, Nigeria, Ghana, and Namibia. Germany puppets the Boer Republic in South Africa, Botswana, Lesotho, and Eswatini, and gives the French state some of its African colonies back. Germany puppets England under Richard IV. Italy annexes Malta, Cyprus, Somaliland, and northern Kenya, and the Gulf states. Spain takes Gibraltar. Japan annexes Hong Kong and puppets the Philippines and Australasia. Indonesia annexes New Guinea. Ireland got Ulster and Scotland its independence. Between the Axis and Greater East Asian co-prosperity sphere, the status quo returns. The war strengthened Germany and Japan and weakened the US. In 1991, Germany annexes Scandinavia and Ukraine. They also demand Slovenia from Yugoslavia. Following the death of Otto Ernst Römer in 1997, Otto Voigt becomes Führer. In 2016, Reichskommissariat Caucasian is absorbed into the Reich. In 2041, Germany under Frank Franz annexes Reichskommissariat Moscovian on the day Operation Barbarossa was launched. In this timeline, without Churchill, democracy and liberty die out in Europe, Asia, Africa and Oceania. Both Germany and Japan are great powers, but discontent grows outside of their own borders. If you liked the episode, leave a like, and don't forget to subscribe. Goodbye.